Welcome to Oregon Voters Digest, the program that brings forward the social and political issues that are important to people living here in the Pacific Northwest. And now, your host, Bruce Broussard.
Welcome again to the segment of Oregon Voters Digest. I'm Bruce Broussard, your host, and joining me today is John Sweeney. And, well, we got a very, very important topic, one that really has a major impact on issues here in the city of Portland, okay? And as you know, we've got this new form of government, and many people are not as happy with this situation to begin with. And now here we are, the first go-around, so to speak, and for first year, they've been first year sitting, and now all of a sudden they're getting ready to go into their second term, if you will, of all of the 12 members, and we've got problems. And they're in the process of selecting the president of the so-called steering committee, the steering committee of the 12 commissioners. The mayor is not part of that at this point in time, and we'll go into that discussion. But we're gonna talk a little bit about the history within this next hour, and kind of give you a feel of how the citizens are the employers, right? The employers, which are the government of the people, the voters, the voting public, how they felt about the new system, and then we got 1 year. We've gone through the process for 1 year, and now how are we feeling at this point in time? So John and I are going to try to take you through this maze, because trust me, it is a maze, and we're going to do this within this hour, and hopefully share it with your neighbors and whatever other voters and people, because we got a problem here, and hopefully the media will catch up on this piece. They're trying to do as much as they can. They're also saying we're media too. We're public media, so to speak. Okay, and but we represent the folks, and so we're going to try to share with you what our thoughts were along this line, because we are employers too. Yeah. Okay, John, welcome aboard.
Glad to be here.
Okay, good. Well, why don't we just get, and by the way, before I forget, is that this next Wednesday, which will be the, let's see, 10th, 11th, 13th.
Yeah.
It'll be the 13th. On the 13th, the city council, the present city council, the newly elected city council, will be meeting to discuss this issue again about who's going to be the president of this body. Very, very important. So it's very, very important. You check out YouTube. You can check out YouTube if you want to see that commission meeting. YouTube. You can stream it. You got to have TV naturally. But go to YouTube and stream City of Commissioners, Portland City Commissioners meeting, and you should be able to get that particular meeting. You don't necessarily have to be at the beginning of the meeting. You can view it anytime during that day, but you need to see that, because that's going to be quite a meeting, okay? And we're going to tell you why, as you'll notice after we get through discussing. Well, we're going to be discussing about the history of the group, and also bring it up to present, okay? With that,
right.
Okay, good. So now that we got that, John, let's go back to kind of like day one in terms of how we got into this situation to begin with. Let's talk about the history of that.
They have had a thing against the commission form of government that the city of Portland has had since the early 1900s. I forget the exact date when they went to it. I think 1913. And so you had a mayor, 4 commissioners, and an auditor. Now, the mayor was he assigned the bureaus to the commissioners, and the commissioners were legislators
of the bureaus.
Bureaus. They were administrators of the bureaus, and they were legislators because they passed city ordinances, which is at city and county level. The laws are called ordinances. Okay. And so. And the mayor's position was. And what was his definition? The mayor. And the lead was the mayor, and he was, and they were 4-year offices, and the city auditor was more than the auditor, because he was the consul clerk, and he was the elections officer, even though the county actually ran the elections for city offices. And they were 4-year offices, nonpartisan. And the thing is, if you got 50% plus one in the primary, the job was yours. And in most cases, that's what happened. That's so, anyway, so that's how the elections won. And usually the city officers, if they didn't win by 85% of the vote, they got nervous. And some people says, well, they got in there and they were assigned a job and they didn't have an expertise, but they had staff that worked for them that they wanted the systems to work, and they gave him good guidance. And I was with the city of Portland from May through 1965 through December 1997, and I was active in the union, and they had good working relationship with the city council, and sometimes the bosses did the things a little shady, why the people would talk to the union and the union would talk to the city commissioner or the mayor.
Responsible for the parks.
Responsible for
one commissioner.
For the whole city. But anyway, it happened to be the parks commissioner had the parks and a couple of small ones, and had it divided up. And I could tell you it run well, because people like their job, and there's also you could start at the bottom and you can get promoted. In my case, I got started as a laborer, become an equipment operator, utility worker, and a foreman and a supervisor. So you could find your level of work and enjoy it, and you can move around from place to place.
Let's go
and it was really and I enjoyed it mostly. And and we had really good park commissioners, and we had really good mayors.
Okay, so we like that.
But it was good. Okay. And the city worked pretty well.
Okay, all right.
There were some spicy times, but life,
Okay, so that's the form of government we had.
That's what we had.
That's what we had. Then all of a sudden, this what we've been introduced to was introduced
through ranked choice voting.
A couple years ago, ranked choice voting.
Okay. Now the deal is now you have you happen to have the same auditor that you had before, same duties, and you have 12 consulars, and they are legislative only. And now the thing is, it wasn't too long ago they wanted to hire a consultant to tell them what their job was. Well, it was real simple. It was all out in the information when they were running for office, and the fact that when you're a consular, you're not running anything, you're giving advice. So the thing is, you're
well, they hired someone to do that.
have some constituent contacts, and you basically make the budget and you make ordinances.
But what was the process at that time? They hired a guy named Jordan, right? Remember?
Yeah.
They hired him to basically manage and put that piece together.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
to define what our rank choice.
Right.
To define what the process was going to be for this new form of government. That was all spelled out during that time. Now, what were some of the major issues that they were talking about? I mean, things like, for instance, they said city manager. I remember. I can still remember. They made the point about a city manager was going to be a part of that. That's
right. As a city manager runs it, and the mayor, one of his duties is to break a tie, and he had times come up when he could have done that, and he did not, which complicated things. And the mayor does not have veto power. So if the city council goes off the deep end, he has to do it, or he can resign, and but he cannot change it.
That was his definition.
That's how it is now.
That was his definition. Now, what about they had the city manager, right? I take it.
The city manager.
I think in fact, he just came on board, which is just recently.
And he's about to leave, or has left, because that was the thing, is he was only going to be here so long. So they're working on.
So that's still an issue.
Still an issue.
But I understand. But I saw it the other night, and understand he's now on board.
Correct.
He's on board. Now, as far as the responsibility of the city commissioners, you got 3 per district, right?
Yeah, there's 4 districts, and their consulars is a term, and they make more money now than they did when they were commissioners, where they had to actually run something.
Okay.
So they're making, I think it's $150,000 a year, and they basically have no responsibilities to the street.
Okay. Any idea what the mayor is making?
Maybe a little bit more. I don't know what he's making.
Okay. Now, what's the responsibility of the city commissioners?
Their basic thing is to convene and have their meetings, and their main thing is to pass a budget, and then the thing is they have other ordinances to solve problems, or in many cases create problems, and that is their job. And the deal is, it was really upsetting to me when they said they were going to hire a consultant for I think $90,000. Don't quote me on that. To tell them what their job was.
Well, what happened to the city manager?
The city manager's in the working part of the city.
That's going to be part of the working part of the city.
And that's below the consulars, which is separate.
But for a consultant to tell them what to do,
the consultant was going to tell the
city
consulars what their job was.
Was their job? And what is the definition of the job?
The job is to convene their meetings and have their meetings, and the main thing is the budget. And that's the same with the legislature. The main thing is to convene and have a budget.
Okay, so what you're saying, what I'm hearing is that their job was the budget.
That's the big deal.
That was it.
That's the big deal.
Okay, and that was and the budget was basically all of the city, right?
Yeah.
All the issues, the bureaus and everything else, right? But they're not. No, they weren't will be responsible for the bureaus, right?
None. Zero.
And that was supposed to be the city manager, I take it, right?
Yeah, the city manager actually run the show below the mayor.
Below the mayor.
Because the mayor didn't run anything either.
Well, but I'm still thinking about those bureaus.
Correct.
Who's running the bureaus?
The bureaus are professionals.
No, but running by whom? Is that the city manager's job?
There's a city manager, then and a city administrator, and then there's several assistant managers, they had to deal, and they were actually over particular bureaus.
Okay, but that was over here.
Yeah,
that's not the city council.
Yeah.
Okay, now the city council, and then they went through that whole issue of budgetary situation discussions, and I take it there were changes there too, by the way.
Yeah, they actually, when they got elected in November, and then they assumed office in January, and the previous city council had given them a budget that was good through through June of 2025. So the new councilors had to dream up a budget for July 1
on the budgets
of 2025 through June of 2026, and now they're working on another one, so that you have one from July 2026 through June of 2027.
Okay.
It's kind of an every year thing, and one of the things that kind of affects it is when the state comes down with their budget, which is a 2-year budget, and they make adjustments starting in February. They'll tweak it a little bit.
Well, were they on? We as the city of Portland, are they on a balanced budget situation or what?
By law, they have to have a balanced
budget. By what date?
Would be June 30th. So it's ready for July 1st.
So June 30th of 26, the last year's budget.
This budget is through June of 2026.
Okay,
they
June
have to have one for July 2026 ready to go on the 1st of July.
Okay. So they're still in the process of
they're in the process now of doing the budget.
The budget.
And they had a year's experience because they had to dream up one in 6 months. Now they've got a year to get the next one done. And
no, wait a minute. Do we have a balanced budget now? Is that what you're saying?
By law, for state and local governments in Oregon and most states, you have to have a balanced budget, which means you can.
When? By when?
by the end of June. It has to have a balance.
June of 26?
That's right. They have to have a balanced budget.
By June. Okay,
by June.
So the budget is not balanced yet.
No, the budget that they have now is a balanced budget. The budgets always have to be balanced. It could mean if they have some of that balance could be debt, but the deal is it has to be balanced when it works out.
This is really kind of confusing. So you're saying so we got until June to come up with a balance. The budget we're working on right now.
The 1st of July, they have to have the budget by the end of June.
By the end of June.
And they like to have it in May, especially not this year, but last year. You had the state budget affects our budget.
We're not interested in it. With the balanced budget.
Yeah.
Are we living in a balanced budget situation now today?
Yes.
Okay, and that'll go to June. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
To June.
This budget goes through June.
Is that June? The new budget then?
The new budget is supposed to be ready for the next year.
Okay.
1st of July through the 30th of June.
So because that's what they want. So that's what they want. That's what That's why I say it's so confusing because everybody's fighting for that individual issues, right? Okay, good. Now, I don't know about the federal implication, but I guess they're going to have some issues because from a federal standpoint, in some areas they're cutting a lot of the federal monies, and in most cases that control is those entities up there on Capitol Hill, right?
Right. You have you have federal money that comes down. A lot of times it comes through the state on a pass-through to cities and counties and schools.
But we got representatives up there.
Yeah.
We got representatives. Now an entire delegation are supposed to be representing the state of Oregon, right? And I'm talking about from the senatorial. I'm talking about the Senator Wyden, and we got who was the other individual who's a.
We have had in the past where we had.
Who do we have now?
Okay, and
Merkley and Biden. I mean, I'm sorry.
Merkley and Biden are our senators.
No. We got Merkley and Ron Wyden.
Yeah.
Not Biden.
Yeah.
Okay. No problem.
Wyden
no problem.
And Berkeley.
Okay.
Smirkley. Yeah. So.
Okay, but anyway, we've got 2 senators.
Correct.
Then we got how many
And we have 6 representatives.
6 representatives from the state of Oregon. Okay.
Correct.
Now that entire congressional delegation.
Yeah.
The entire delegation represents Oregon.
Yeah.
Okay. And so consequently, they should be very much involved with the budget piece.
Correct.
And so anytime they're having any problems with federal monies, they're supposed to be taking care of that issue to make sure we got those dollars here.
Yeah.
Because they basically will go and say, well, okay, fine, out of the pot of money that you guys pick up from us all throughout the United States, we need a batch of money. They have to show them that we need money for this and this and this and that and the other, right? But that's their job.
Yeah.
So they're really part and parcel of the city budget. In many ways, and any other budgets, state budgets, and other through the state. Okay. So we got that squared away. All right. So now, is it functional? Now let's get down to the city of Portland and our issues that we're having here in the city of Portland. So all of the major issues that we're discussing now, because we're the largest city in the state of Oregon, so to speak, right? You got me? And most of our major issues, are coming from the state of Oregon, as far as homelessness, right? Right. Homelessness, housing, all of these issues, public safety, and things of that nature. We've got some major problems here. And so consequently, they too are very much involved with solving that problem, right?
Correct.
But they're discussing that issue. Then it goes through the entities, and so it goes through the city of Portland and the rest of them, throughout the entire state. So now, now that we've got that lay of the land of that flow piece aspect of it, let's get down to some form of this. How is the functioning of the city of Portland as far as this political process? And so we've defined the fact that city council are supposed to be basically representing 4 districts. And in each district, you have 3 city council people, right?
Correct.
And they're supposed to be communicating with the entities of their various districts.
Yeah.
Okay. And in some instances, folks are having some concerns about whether or not they're reaching out to their employers.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Their employers. And I know one of the things I was very concerned with the fact is that I'm in district number 2, and they're not, as far as I'm concerned, they're not reaching out and communicating. Maybe they might be doing it in their own website way, but that's not the game. The employer is saying, hey, when are you going to deal with the issue of homelessness in district number 2?
Well, you have that Peacock group there, and I think they're.
Well, before you go to that, you got to figure out. You got to define what it is. If you don't know the definition of it, let's not. But
6 counselors that got together and formed their own group.
But see, we haven't gotten to the presidency piece yet.
No.
Okay, let's. But we'll bring it up because we got to.
Yeah, but anyway,
we got time.
You got these people who.
How about your district where you are?
I live in District 3, and.
Who's your representative in that area? City council.
I have 3 of them. Novak's one, and I can't remember the other 2, and.
But anyway, are they reaching out to you?
No,
you see some sense
they're
of
not. Yeah, and the trouble, they're into a world of their own, and because they think that they're all important, and they forget who they're working for.
Would you tell them again who they're working for?
They're employees.
Okay.
And they are our employees, and they're not listening to us, and not responding to us.
Okay. What about the media? You think the media is responding to them, for them?
No, I don't. And it's kind of like they're. I think the media is watching a circus, and they're enjoying the view of the circus.
Well, but they still have a responsibility. I mean, it's
That's
still
true.
there. It's still there, and they're still a viable medium. You have to purchase the papers now. And what about the Portland Tribune? Are they still there? But you have to purchase the paper now. Yeah, I've not seen them in quite some time. And Willamette Week, they're still handing out a few papers.
Yeah.
Some papers. They are there. I got to say that they are there. And so you got the Oregonian, you got the Willamette Week, you got the Tribune. These are and what about the other?
The Mercury?
The Mercury. They're there?
It's still out there.
They're still out there? They're giving them free?
Kind of a going smut piece.
But they're free.
Yeah.
Willamette Week's free. Mm-hmm. Tribune you got to buy. I understand that there's some of the retail stores like the Safeway and stuff like that. But they're out, but they're not free anymore.
Yeah.
And you have to purchase those. And the Tribune, they got to purchase that piece. The Oregonian, you have to purchase that. Yeah. They're trying to gear everybody towards the TV piece.
The Portland Observer, they're still around.
They're
Scanner.
No, they're not there. They're not there. I can tell you at point blank, they're not, and they're not dealing with some of the issues.
Yeah.
I would have thought that they would be doing that piece. But anyway, but that's where we are right now in that piece. Mm-hmm. Now, here we are, city. Let's talk about the makeup of how we got there, as far as experience for those city council folks, and even the mayorship aspect of it. But from the mayor's standpoint, we had the election, and we've got Keith Wilson, Mayor Wilson, who's sitting in the seat, okay, and he's there, and typically he's not had any background. He's not been involved in politics before, right? He's not been in there, but he's there. He's a businessman, and however, there were some things that the people expected him to be identified with. One, mayorship, sitting in the chair of the mayorship piece. You know, the kind of like the not necessarily the leader, but the chairperson. Like
the deal is actually people had high hopes in him when he made it being a businessman, because good business practices do transfer over to government functions, because when you're running a government like Portland, where you're doing things for and with people, why it's expected to run it efficiently.
Let's put it this way: he had no political experience.
That's true.
He had no political experience. Yeah. So he was in boot camp for that piece of that. Okay,
correct.
And he's kind of like hurt up because now he's in boot camp, but he didn't have a drill instructor to hold his hand. The issues in the city, the politics is a caretaker along that arena, and if he doesn't know politics, and he's in business, it's tough for him. It's really tough for him right now because he's only not talking to solutions because he didn't have the background. That's a point blank. Yeah. Now, I don't know how he's going to go about getting that, but that's where he sits right now today, and it's hurting the citizens, the employers.
Yeah. Well, I think with his business background would have been good, but the thing is that I think he's lost his way. Yeah, and he's been listening to the counselors who are...
but those are the politics. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. Let's make sure that the public understand what we're talking about here. The politics is heavily involved.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
And these are political seats.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, we got the organizational structure aspect of it, but the politics is something you got to have. You got to have some awareness of what's going on. You in all due respect, the point I guess I'm making, you can't be learning on the job.
Yeah.
You got to come prepared, especially the mayor.
Yeah. Well, it's still the thing is that a lot of these people that are counselors, I think they're trying to use this as a stepping stone to higher office.
Right.
And the deal is that these are 4-year offices, so in the mid-year they might think about running for U.S. Congress.
But that's 4 and 2 years. You got 2 entities.
Yeah. So the fact that in November District 3 and District 4 will be up for re-election, so they'll hang in that, or they may hang it up. But the fact is that people from District 1 and 2, it's their midterm, so it could be by the March 10th, the fact that they sign up for a higher office for running for, say, U.S. Congress.
Now you said 1 and 2. That's a 4-year term, isn't it?
That's right. They're on a 4-year term.
Yeah,
so this is the midterms. So
3 and 4, and they'll be up. They got to run this time around. 3 and 4.
And the deal is Merkley's up for re-election, so one of them might take him on, or maybe in the for the House of Representatives. Now, in the House of Representatives, you do not have to live in that district because they set the law that way because...
You mean the congressional district?
In the congressional district.
Congressional representative.
That's right. You do not have to live in the district.
You can run anywhere you want to.
Yeah. I ran a District 2 once.
Okay, all right,
but the thing is, because they have the census and they have the redistricting every 10 years, so they figure, well, it might be the case that you're in the district and they change the boundaries. Why they would force you to move. Well, the deal is they have it set that you can stay. It's Maxine Waters, I think it is, in California. She doesn't live in her district, hasn't lived in her district for decades.
Yeah, but let's get back to Portland.
Okay, but that's the point. So you have 6 of these people could run for another office midterm for them, and so they could run for governor, or they could run for senator, or they could run for representative, or something else.
What, still while sitting in the seat?
Sitting in the seat. In fact, the county, because they're going to the ranked choice voting, they could run for a county job if they want.
But gee, I tell you, that may be another subject matter. We may take 2 hours for that meeting. Jesus Christ! but you confuse me.
But that's something to look at and deal with.
Yeah, but let's get down to the meat of the matter.
March 10th is the filing deadline. So on say March 11th or 12th, you'll see who's in.
And that's basically for 3 and 4. Is that what you're saying?
Now 3 and 4 has to run for re-election.
That's what I said in March.
I think their filing deadline is in August.
In August? Okay,
for
all
the
right.
November election.
All right. But anyway, they're up too. They're up now. 3 and 4. Gonna be up.
Correct. They're coming up.
Okay. But the 1 and 2 have 4-year terms.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, in District 3 and 4, they could run for another office.
But I'm not interested.
No. Listen to this. And so the deal is they don't get elected, they don't win the primary, then the deal is they can file for re-election for the jobs in November.
So this really is confusing. Now we trying to get the people who are sitting in that seat for Portland now we're talking about.
Let's get any deeper. We'll have to wear brown shoes, you know.
Yeah, well, we already have them. Okay, now let's talk about the backgrounds, sort of the the backgrounds of the folks who are sitting in the seats. Now we know that we've got 2 former city commissioners.
Correct.
That are sitting in the seat.
Yeah.
Dan Ryan, district number 2, and I think Novak.
Yeah.
I think he was district number 3. Yeah, that's your area, isn't it?
He's in District 3, yes.
District 3, Novak. And they were city council people at one point in time.
Yeah.
So they did have some background.
Yeah.
Okay. And then the other one was Loretta Smith.
She was with the county.
She was with the county. She'd been with the county, so she had quite a bit of background herself. So now the other entities didn't have any background. They were newbies.
All newbies, yeah.
They were all newbies, okay? And I think, and then you start thinking about, then the other part of the makeup was that there was a president of that body as opposed to the mayor.
Yeah.
There was a president of the body taken from the 12 people, and she's from district number 2. And then you got a vice president. I don't remember what district she was in, but the fact of the matter is that I know that the chair has some experience because she was heavily involved in labor, and she was part of the politics. She understood what politics was. But like I said, you got Novak, and you had Novak and Dan Ryan, who were very much involved, and I can tell that through my experience in following them, so to speak, they got a little frustrated in terms of where all the majority was coming from and how these folks were lacking in their involvement. And so consequently they had to slow down a little bit because it's as if to say these other folks were OJT and they brought their personal experiences to the table. That's what they did. Personal experience. And some of the major issues in those personal experiences was the whole issue of sanctuary city, the issue of race. They brought that piece in, involving that aspect of it, and the whole newbie things, from the standpoint that they didn't feel comfortable. They didn't feel as if that they should have the older folks that were there, the folks who had been involved before, like Loretta and Dan and Novak, and so that was that. So that stuff was there, but a lot of times that would be pretty well. I think that's gotten to the point now that at least they've gone through that year, and so now here we go with the real deal of the show today is the whole issue of re-electing officers for the upcoming year. And the presidency, the young lady that was there, her from District 2, and a gentleman from what's his name? His name. Anyway, but the bottom line is that they were having problems getting a new president.
Yeah,
they've been arguing about the presidency, the candidates. They got 2 candidates, and they've come up with 2 different groups. The Peacock group and the other group, okay? Yeah. And you'll find that in most cases, the Peacock group is not the person who is sitting in that, in not the Peacock group, but the other group, if you will, are all the other senior members. I think Commissioner Loretta Smith, Dan Ryan, and Steve Novak are part of the other group. Okay. And what I saw and what I heard was because they had background, experience and whatever, and had gone through this time period where they dealt with what they were dealing with aspect of it, they found that the person who was the chair, the present chair, was their choice to be the chair, to continue to be the chair. And the chair and the other group, the Peacock group, which is interesting, their entity was someone that was bringing up issues that were of some concerns. One was Sanctuary City. They were endorsing that piece. They brought up the issue of race. They brought that issue up, and I thought that was a divide. And that's what I saw as a major from my standpoint of my exposure, because and that's the other thing about that Peacock group. I'm thinking about another entity that's still at the table, is former City Commissioner Joanne Hardesty. Yeah, and she is part of the Peacock group.
Yeah.
See? And then naturally when she raises her head up, the whole issue of defunding the police always comes up.
Yeah.
Right? And there's still an issue.
Yeah.
Still on the table. And it seems as though the person who is part of that Peacock group that his name will come up with it. But anyway, he was formerly one of the public safety groups for the city, as far as police was concerned. But again, the issue was raised up about the fact that police might not necessarily want him in that position because of his politics and whatever. But then at the same time, I'm sitting up here saying, well, okay, fine. Well, Joanne is still involved in the process. And another interesting point about Joanne, she was at one point in time very interested in being on this new city council. But for some strange reason, from what I've read, was that they didn't want her there.
Yeah.
And so she didn't she didn't want her there. And it just so happened one of her cohorts from one of the commissioners, name doesn't come right off the bat, I suppose she's part of the Peacock group. She was working at one point in time, she was on Joanne's staff. So Joanne still has access, see, to that piece. And that's an issue. So you got the two groups. I'm just throwing that out on the table aspect of it. And they've been going through this for the last 3 months. It's pretty heavy. And if you want to get a little bit more background on that discussion, you might want to go to YouTube, if you got access to YouTube, and stream YouTube, and the history is there. They've got all the commissioners' meetings talking about the presidency when they first started. They initiated the process of selecting the president to the date.
Yeah.
And they still haven't selected the president. And as we speak, they're looking at a new meeting, their next meeting, which is Wednesday, the 13th of January this month. They're going to be discussing the issue of the presidency, and that might be of interest. And I would say to the employers, you should tune in to that meeting. And
Correct.
To get background, if you got some time, you can go back to the other to the meetings when they first initiated the process for president of the new body. There's some very interesting discussions and how folks were arguing back and forth, et cetera, et cetera. And then finally, the light of day is coming out on both groups. Okay? And just as someone who's been in the process for some time, sort of on the political side aspect of it, I'm just saying, if I were to have been able to select someone, I'm just as an employer, talking as an employer, I would keep this present president sitting in the seat. I think there's some bias situations with the Pitt group, and they're still in boot camp, and they're bringing up issues that should be discussed. I have no problem with the issues. Talking about race, and we do have a race issue here in the state, for that matter. But sometimes, it seems as though people are not willing to work on trying to facilitate an assimilation of some sort, because we should be talking about the holistic approach, and we're all citizens and we're all employers, and stress it a little bit more that way, and get that off the table, because we got some major issues that are sitting here on the table. We got the whole issue of ICE. That's huge. We got housing, huge. We got mental illness. I mean, the health. We got huge. The relationship between the county and the city. We got huge. We got the mayor's issue. We got huge. So we got some major issues, and to sit down and play these biases situations, that's going to help. And I think that the other group are on target. They're in the right lane because they've got the experience. You got experience in these other three entities that I just mentioned, and I'm talking about Commissioner Smith and Dan Ryan and Steve Novak, and it's not quote. Look, I've had pros and cons. I think I've been sitting on this show and discussing these people, and I know them all, and I know the present group, and so consequently, we need to get on with the show.
Yeah.
So, and in all due respect, it's from an employer standpoint. I'm even sharing with the other employers. It's going to be, and I'm telling the person who are interested in being the presidency, hey, maybe try to be supportive, if you will, of continuing on what we have, because a lot of the employers out here are not satisfied.
Yeah.
Not satisfied. We got some other things we need to dot the I's with. And John, you brought that issue up. We talked about that before, about the lack of a responsible entity like the mayor's office sitting in his seat. He has no veto powers. And the other thing, the voting public felt very strong that he was going to break the tie. He had at least something going. He can't even do that. And here we are. We've got a tie.
Yeah.
We got 6-6, and it's still no one has said anything about the mayor coming up and breaking the tie.
And and they're not doing the budget right now to get a good shot at it, to have it done by the end of June.
Exactly. And then people are going to still be arguing about the old budgets and how they proceeded, and some of the other entities that we still need that they're going to be cutting out for new things.
Yeah.
See, because of this biases, if you will, within these two groups. And I would say to this other Peacock group, hey, pick up another. And I'm when I think about pick up another, she called it. Loretta made a good point. It was a little side note. She said penguins. So I didn't want to go that way, but hey, look, that's where it's at. I've been around a couple of days. You've been around a couple of days. This is not something I've looked at it and I've checked it out backwards, sideways, and tried to include them. And the only way they can include is to back off and join the other group, and let's go forward.
Yeah.
Because we got things to deal with.
Well,
put the mayor back in that seat.
Okay.
Put him in that chair position. And I'm not saying get rid of the president for the commissioners, but I'm just saying let him be the chair. We need to see him at a chair visibly at that meeting.
Mm-hmm.
He has to be at that meeting.
Yeah.
And responding to some of the things.
Yeah. Well,
go on, John.
Yeah.
I
Well, could be the existing president. Does she want to still be the president?
Yes.
So let me tell you, if I'd have got elected, I'd sure glad that she's it, not me.
That's right. And she did a good job.
Yeah. And
she did a good job.
This Peacock group, the person that they're selecting may be really objectionable.
Oh, very much so.
So, and the deal is that I was on the Multnomah Education Service District Board, and the vice chairman was coming up to become the chairman, and everybody almost had a heart attack because that was going to be Dan Mose. I mean, the staff just had paralysis, and the board was on paralysis, and my dad was on the board when I was, and he nominated Dan Mose to be the new chairman, and almost everybody had a heart attack, and one of the ladies there says, "John, would you take the job?" And I said, "Sure." So then I become the chairman for a second time. But I mean, and the relief among everybody there was just phenomenal, because some people could really, really be bad.
Right.
And this
Dan was
Peacock, Peacock group must have one hell of an agenda.
Well, the agenda I see is that it's not helping their group, specific groups.
Yeah.
If they're talking about the immigration, things of that nature, this is not helping that situation out at all. Got me?
Yeah.
It is an issue.
Yeah.
And we need to sit down and talk about it, because there's some people hurting, and a lot of we have issues.
Yeah. And one of the things about housing. Construction nowadays, 40% of the cost is paper. Mm-hmm. The permits and all that kind of stuff. And I know if some of the people remember that there was a pizza parlor out on Belmont, and they wanted to move across the street, and the city wanted $37,000 for studies.
Yeah.
And so the guy took him to court. He still had to pay $17,000. And you're talking a pizza parlor from one side of the street to the other. What's the effect on the surrounding area? Zip.
And now you got to figure out we got a new city manager handling that bureau aspect of it, and then you got a city council that doesn't have any background at all on it. So who's in charge? What happens when the city council goes to them and say, well, what about these questions and what do you think? What should we do? And then he says, well, you keep it the way it is. How can they argue?
You know, the people with the peacock psyche, I should say. When Randy Leonard was city commissioner, he got the permitting system into one office. So when you walked in, they laid the papers out, that was it. But somehow it got all broken up.
That's when he left.
After he left, you got it all broken up.
But that's politics.
But yeah, but the deal is they had a good thing that's working, but it's kind of like the Republicans say, if it's not broke, don't fix it.
Yeah, but at the same time,
they did that. So now they've got this.
Yeah,
they talk about consolidation.
But don't forget your point about what you said, Randy. But that was already documented.
Yeah,
they could actually go back to that whole documentation and say, boom, let's bring this to the table right now. Yeah. But the fact of the matter is, they're so focused on these other PTOC issues aspect of it, and that's not going to solve the problem. And I would say at a certain point, I wish like heck they had gone on and allowed Joanne to run, because then the issue would have been discussed straight up. It would have been hit right between the eyes.
Yeah,
because we got to discuss this issue, because the fact of the matter is, she's there, she represented such and such, even though she wasn't the one that was the majority. Yeah. That was Wheeler's job. Wheeler had the power. Yeah. It wasn't she approved the funding aspect of it. Yeah. Wheeler approved the funding. He had the 3 votes. Bottom line, with her, one was with her. But the fact of the matter, people get the feeling, well, the race piece again. Well, hey, no, it wasn't her. It was a bit fun. The defunding was because of Wheeler.
Yeah.
Point blank. It was a political piece.
Yeah.
He did. And I'm saying that, I'm making it a point of Wheeler at this point in time. Here's a guy that's gone through boot camp. Now he's got the knowledge, and then he gets out.
Well, true. And the thing is, it's about the veto power for the mayor.
Right.
And there was 3 chances to have that there. That was when they did the charter, and when they had the primary election in 2024 and the general election 24, and they didn't put it on the ballot because I think the people would have been smart enough to give the mayor the veto power, because when I was running and talking to citizens, and they were stunned when I told them the new mayor has no veto power, and people could not believe they didn't have the veto power.
Well, tell me this. Do you think that because Wheeler was in the process of getting out at that time.
Oh, yeah.
What was his recommendation? Did anybody ask the question of Wheeler, why didn't you go on and put that deal in place before you left?
I think I don't know,
what happened?
Maybe decide to screw us on the way out. Who knows?
That's good. Well, you say it the way it is. We're employers. I'm worried about that too. Why didn't he not put the layout up front?
He saw that they were finally changing the form of government, and he didn't like the form, even if he would have run and got the job. He didn't like it, so he didn't run for that job, and so he prevented the new mayor from having that one hammer that would have been good for everybody, because if something come up so objectionable, it would veto it, but he didn't. Now, this change to this form of government, this isn't the first time, because they had a couple times where they wanted to have city-county consolidation.
Right.
And I attended a meeting of that one time. They were going to have 5 elected people for all of Multnomah County, and including an appointed sheriff. And I says, the citizens aren't going to go for that, because they had a short time when they had an appointed sheriff, and it was not good, because people want to have an elected sheriff. And of course, the thing is, if you're the sheriff from Multnomah County, you may be independent and all that, but the county commission is your banker, and they could hurt you in the pocketbook.
Right. Well, at one point in time, they wanted to consolidate them both.
Yeah.
Yeah, there'd have been a one stop. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But like I said, that didn't pass, because right now here we are, the county getting ready to get into the same situation that the city is right now, and they're gonna have a problem.
Yeah, and you mentioned about cutting back on the police.
Yeah.
Now, going back in history, see, now there was Resolution A came up in 81, 83.
Mm-hmm.
City of Portland was basically a 10-mile by 10-mile square with about 400,000 people. Had 800 police officers and should have had 1,000.
Mm-hmm.
Then they went to Resolution A, which the county was supposed to take over all of the social services, and and then the deal is the city of Portland became a 10-mile by 15-mile rectangle, and now the population is double, and they only have 600 police officers. And having a police agency is like having the military. It's a people business. You gotta have people. If you don't have the people, it doesn't work well. And they're talking about even cutting it back even more. Now, in 67, 68, when they had public disturbance over in Williams Avenue, Multnomah County was full service government, took care of clear down to Northeast 33rd, so that the police and the city administration and the civic leaders could solve the problem, and it got solved fairly fast.
But see, that was the race issue, and the race issue.
Yeah.
The black issue.
Yeah.
And because blacks, that was part of the politics of that time.
Yeah.
Okay, see what I'm saying? Got me? And so here we are. We've been making some. We got some folks, more. How do you speak? People of color.
Yeah.
And I heard that word again the other day at the city council meeting, talking about the presidency, and said they were concerned about the people of color. Male people of color. And I'm trying to say that was only identified and attributed to black folks, black males. But now all of a sudden, I didn't see any black males sitting up there.
No.
But there was the people of color. So that's part of the simulation. So blacks are not people of color anymore. They're Americans. They're Oregonians. Okay. Yeah. And so now this new Picard group is at the point of the deal anymore. Well, trust me, I could be the DI of that group with no problem. I would tell them point blank, no, you're going down the wrong path. It won't work. You're going to lose everything you got to a certain degree. And if you want to transition and talk to what can we do about the whole issue, because we're in the discussion of this sanctuary city situation. Trust me, if there was a vote today, there would be no sanctuary city.
Yeah.
Trust me.
Yeah.
Everybody's just waiting, sitting at home. They don't want to touch it because they don't want to get involved in the process. They don't want to be identified. They can't put anything outside of on their house, if you will, and say, "Look here, I'm for the sanctuary city deal," because, in all due respect, that person might call up ICE.
Yeah.
And trust me, it bothers me to say this aspect of it. If we don't start discussing these issues, we're going to have, I hate to put it this way, someone's going to come up and say, why don't we put bounties just to get paid to pick up the phone and call somebody on a person, an illegal, if you will, if they're living next to you, and just get the check. If it's bona fide and the person gets arrested, then you get your check.
Yeah.
You see, that's kind of what the thinking might be of people that are sitting at the table.
Yeah.
Right now, today.
Yeah. The sanctuary thing, look at Minnesota. The deal is the governor's not running for re-election because the deal is this is coming up for a vote, and most of that state is white. So when are they going to put that on the ballot? The whole state's going to say no.
Yeah. And here we are again. Then we're going to get right back into the whole race. We do not want to rejuvenate that situation.
Yeah.
We want to get back to the table of where we are.
Yeah.
We need to focus on education. That's why I said one of the other shows is that the Oregonian, our position will be, we want to educate people. Mm-hmm. We want to get everybody back to the table.
Yeah.
We want to get back to the Constitution.
Yeah.
We want to get back to what this flag of means.
Yeah.
And in fact, thinking about that deal with public safety aspect of it, and I got a little hit for Dye, our chief, Chief Day, Chief Day, and it's kind of interesting. We've been having the whole issue of what I'm thinking about the parade, Juneteenth parade.
Oh yeah, Juneteenth.
The Juneteenth parade was about the flag.
Yeah.
It was about the flag.
Yeah.
It was about carrying the flag. People of color, black, were carrying that flag. Buffalo soldiers, you got all that history sitting up there. The flag.
Yeah.
And here was a public safety entity who was in charge that turns down being a part of that parade day.
Yeah, and the Juneteenth is basically the celebration of the end of the Civil War.
That's right. That's right. And and people don't want to accept an aspect of it, but Lincoln reacted, and he basically got to those individuals. It was economic standpoint, but he got those slaves that were working down south to be a part of the Civil War, and that was the difference in the war.
Oh yeah,
they won the war.
Yeah,
and he made it very clear when he said, okay, we went through all kind. The Declaration of Independence piece, all men, everybody was free. Everybody became citizens.
Yeah.
Then.
Yeah.
But then, in all due respect, there were certain elements on the Confederacy side said, no, we're going to do something different. But we just carried it on so much, and we kept discussing this race thing. Then it became just part of our DNA.
Yeah.
We got to get rid of that DNA piece. We just can't. We can't even have a decent conversation about even public safety without mentioning blacks.
Yeah.
We got problems across the board. Yeah. The majority of the people that are having problems here in the city of Portland are white, not black.
Yeah.
A lot of the violators, if you will, in most cases, not working or this, that, and the other. We got problems. They were white. They're not black. So let's get down to business. We don't need to do the divide thing anymore.
Yeah.
Let's just talk about getting people back to work. Let's just talk about housing and public safety and just raising the family and making sure everybody gets a decent education. I mean, you just
and the police department's so small they can't be out there
exactly
to do it.
And I would still invite Bob to come here and on the show here, and let's talk about public safety.
Yeah,
he needs to come and talk to me about why won't he carry that flag?
Yeah,
and won't allow us to carry the flag, black folks.
Yeah.
Okay. So
it's the whole thing, and they.
Well, we're at that point, John.
Okay.
Well, we've discussed that piece. So, City Council, hey, get to YouTube and zoom in that piece for City Council meeting on the 13th, which is Wednesday, this coming Wednesday, and tell your friends to look at that show, because that picking up the president of that group is very, very important. My vote is with the one we have right now. Keep her on that chart. She's doing an excellent job, and let's keep going. And the others, understand where she's coming from and listen a little bit better. Take care. Have a good evening. I'll see you. In fact, we'll see you next week. Take care. Bye.
Yeah, boy.